especially in this time of uncertainty and we're kind of everybody's homebound. It's been great to see our coaches come together and help heighten our profession. So I just think it's great. So thank you for doing this. A little bit about me. I'm originally from Winsboro, South Carolina. Got my start in coaching at Coastal Carolina University. From there, I went to Delta State University, coached there for a few years. And there, I think I really feel like I grew the most as a coach, worked with some great coaches there. Worked for Ron Roberts, who's now at Baylor, and worked with Pete Golding, Carl Scott, some of those guys at Alabama, and Brian Brown that's at Louisville. But, you know, it was just great just to be around guys like that, where every day we had to bring our A game. We made each other sharper. You know, I worked with some other great guys there that, you know, Catlin French is head coach at Biloxi down in Mississippi. You know, Ryan Talent, who's a coordinator in Tennessee. Pretty much everybody from that staff is going on to major Division I ball or either head coaches or coordinators at the college level. So, you know, I'm just thankful for working with guys like that early on that really pushed me as a coach and made me want to be better. From there, I left and went to Southeastern Louisiana with that staff, was there for a brief period, and then had the chance to get back in the Carolinas and came to Middle Creek High School in Apex, was there for a few years, and then made my way to Cary, which is where I'm at now. So I'm going to go ahead and get into this presentation that I put together for you guys. For me, now as a head coach, you know, I feel like my job is to really guide the ship per se. You know, I think I'm the coordinator of the culture, being the head coach. So one of the things that we've really started to focus on is best is the standard for our program. First, I want to talk about just the pathway to building a strong culture. Some of the things that we talk about and push daily. Just keep expectations that are easy to understand, because I feel like as coaches, if we roll out too many rules, all these guidelines, I was guilty of that whenever I started out as a head coach. I didn't know what I was doing. You don't know till you're thrown into that fire. So I think it's important that you don't overload your program with rules. Keep it simple. Make sure that they're easy to understand. Spend time with your players. Get to know who they are. Know their why. You got to build that trust with them. You got to know what makes that guy tick on the inside if you're going to get the best out of him. Also, make sure you involve your players in building of the culture. You know, I think as coaches, you know, it's easy to micromanage. It's easy to, you know, say, this is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to be done. I think you need to give your players that voice. Make sure that they're involved in those decision-making processes, and you got to constantly nurture and grow those leaders. And I'll get into that here coming up shortly. Another thing is you got to give back to the school and the community. Without that support, you don't have much to stand on. So I think it's very important that whenever you're leading a program, that you get involved with that school, you get to know those teachers. Let those teachers know that you care about the education of students. Let the community know that you care about what's going on in the community, not just that you're not just there for football, that you want to support them as well. And I think we've done a good job of that, you know, getting involved in our community and volunteering, doing Habitat for Humanity sort of stuff like that. Also recruiting the hallways. I think this is very important for any program. Obviously, you want to make sure that you're recruiting players to try to come be a part of your team that may be on the fence about it. There's always basketball players or guys that run track that are scared of football for some reason, but you got to constantly be in that hallway recruiting those guys. And I think our coaching staff at Cary does a tremendous job of that. Every year we've seen our numbers go up through this recruitment of players. And you see also put on their teachers. I think it's very important that we recruit our teachers as well. And what I mean by that is a lot of times teachers don't always support athletics, and especially football. They may think that football players are dumb jocks. I think it's important that you get those teachers to understand that we're in this together. We want to see our guys achieve great things in the academic field as well, and let them know that you care about them and want to support them. Just be in constant contact with those teachers and recruit them to be fans of your program. And that just leads to the next thing, emphasize academics. You know, for our guys, football doesn't last forever. It doesn't last forever for anybody. You know, you look at the NFL, not for long. So, and that's the elite of the elite. So for our guys, we try to really push their academics, make sure that they're putting themselves in the best possible place they could be for life after football. And then most importantly, in creating a strong culture, you got to create as many opportunities for competition as possible. And that, you know, whether that's in practice field, weight room, conditioning, in the classroom. You got to find ways for them to compete. And we've put together a point system for our team that we utilize during the off season, which really helps drive competition within our team because guys want to be at the top. I'll get into a few slides here and this is specific slides that I've taken from other presentations that we've shared with our team. And this is one that I show every year at the beginning of the year, windshield mentality. No matter what's behind us in the rearview mirror, it's always about what's next. So, no matter what happened in the past, it's all about moving forward. It's kind of like the situation we're in right now with the coronavirus. Eventually that's going to be in our rearview mirror. And we got to focus on getting better and moving forward. And I think that's what we're doing right now as coaches. We're doing everything we can to prepare ourselves for the future. For our program, this is the biggest focus of our program that we focus on day in, day out. You can ask any of our players what does family mean, and they will tell you instantly, forget about me, I love you. I think in your program, you have to create that trust. You have to create that brotherhood. You have to let guys know that you love them. The teammates have to let each other know that they love them. Yes, as a family, we're going to butt heads. We're not always going to get along. We really believe in tough love. Sometimes we have to have tough conversations that aren't always easy to sit there and listen to or talk about, but they have to be done because you love that person. You want to see that person be the best that they can be, and that's something we focus on day in and day out. Another thing that we talk about as a team, and I stole this from LSU, is one team, one heartbeat. And I think it's really important as a team that we focus on this all the time, is that we're one team. Because when we go out there on Friday nights, there's nobody else out there. It's only us. It doesn't matter who's there, what fans are there, what parents are there, who's not there. It doesn't matter. It's no offense. It's no defense. It's no special teams at that point. It's one team. Because when we look up on the scoreboard, it's Cary versus an opponent. And we can't have any division within our team. And, I think being a coordinator prior to being a head coach and then calling plays just on the offensive side my first year, I was able to see that the importance of making sure that we're all in this together. Because if you're focused on just one side of the ball or create those divisions where you say, okay, well, this side needs to do this side needs to do that, that's when you really run into problems and guys point fingers at each other. But if you focus on doing everything you can for your teammate and understand how the game should be played complementary to each other, it's really going to help you out. And I think that's something we've really been pushing very hard with our guys and improving. I think it's important to have a mission statement. All right. So, that way we know where we're going, what we want to do. And the mission of our football program is to change the world by teaching boys to be quality men through the game of football. Wins and losses definitely are important. Yes, we want to win as many games as we can, but I want to make sure that I go to bed and put my head down and sleep well every night, knowing that as a coaching staff, we're doing everything we can to prepare these guys to be quality men. Because, like I said, football doesn't last forever, and that's something that we're going to continue to push. And I think that if we continue to create a culture and have a mission of creating quality men, quality football players, quality teams do grow and evolve. For our guys, we tell them that we're taking them on a journey, and football will take you on a journey. Is how you use to maximize it. For me, I was able, to get into coaching. I was able to get my master's through football. I was able to see a lot of the country by coaching football. And, I think that you can use football as that vehicle to take you where you want to go in life, or whatever that may be. But we focus on integrity. For us, integrity means being where you need to be, being on time, doing what you say you're going to do. That's integrity. Maturity is just making good decisions, that you should be doing. Discipline. And, for us, discipline is a choice. Are you making the mature choices? That's what discipline equals to us. Obviously, physical performance, we're trying to get the best out of our guys in the weight room and on the field. And student achievement, we're pushing those guys constantly in the classroom. We've even put in even stricter academic standards for our guys through our athletic department at our school. So now every week during the season, our athletic director runs a report. If we have guys failing multiple classes, and guess what? They're not eligible for the following week. So it really puts an emphasis on student achievement even more so to make sure that we have our guys eligible every week, not just for the season. All right, so now I'll get into, what the talk is really about. The standard is a standard. For us, best is a standard. I hear a lot of culture talks. I love to consume football clinics, podcasts, books, everything that I can to get better. And, a lot of guys, you say the standard, but for me, I think to myself, okay, as a kid, well, what is that standard? So for us as a coaching staff, we sat down, talked about different things, and what we wanted was just the best out of our players. Whatever they do, their best. So for our football program, best is the standard. And that's all we ask our guys. Give your best in everything that you do. And that's something that our guys constantly hear. It's just it's our common language that we speak day in and day out. Is that your best? Is it your best? And I'm a firm believer in this, the Pygmalion effect. Basically what it means is just a self-fulfilling prophecy. So, if you have set high expectations for others, most times they're going to meet whatever those expectations are. So if you set a low expectation for a player, most likely they're going to rise to that expectation. Same as if you set it as a high expectation. Most of the time, those players are going to meet those expectations. So you really have to focus on pushing those best expectations that you can with your team. And real simple for us, our goals for this season moving forward, just to go 1-0. If you give your best in everything you do, really simply, it boils down to this. Are you giving your best in individual? Are you giving your best in that specific rep? Are you giving your best team? Are you giving your best that day? Are you giving your best in that lift in the weight room? Whatever that is, we're trying to go 1-0 in that thing that we're doing. Ultimately, that's their best. All right, so for our expectations for our team, focusing on the best. All right, first, no BCD. For those of you not familiar with that, that means no blaming, complaining, or defending. Those things are toxic to a program. I think as a football program, we've really turned the corner in this aspect of really improving in this area where we don't blame, where we don't complain, we don't defend our actions. Yes, it does happen. That's human nature. But we've created a culture and a language where when this stuff arises, players will call each other out. They're like, no BCD, no BCD. And that's all you got to say. And it snaps the guy back into that mentality that he needs to be in. Next, all right, is be on time. It's real simple. Like I said, we're not going to bombard our guys with a bunch of rules, that sort of thing, but we are going to focus on being on time. All right, that's a big thing. That's a big part of being mature, having integrity. Listen with 2 ears and 2 eyes. No one talking when someone's addressing the team. One knee down, eyes up, undivided attention, no other distractions. Just real simply, whenever someone's talking, just give them your attention. That's it. Whether it's a player, a teammate, or a coach, whoever it is, when they're speaking in front of the team, give them your respect. And the C word is also banned from our vocabulary. We will not use the word can't in our football program. That's not part of being the best. All right, the best do not say they can't do something. So that's something we do not say in our normal vocabulary. And then make sure we dress an appropriate attire for activity. I'm a big believer in trying to make sure our guys look uniform and make sure that we're doing things together as a team just to build that bond and mentality in the psychological aspect where we all look the same. As far as, whether we're in practice or games, whatever it may be, like we're wearing the same color socks, we're wearing the same workout for attire for that practice day, all of that stuff is really important. All right, that way we really build that team aspect. And just remind our guys, everything that we do affects those around you. I think that's really important that we remind our guys of that daily. And I think our guys do a good job of understanding that and knowing that the other guys are depending on them. So we got to make sure that we focus on helping our teammates and knowing that our actions can affect them as well. All right, so we'll move into our off-season expectations for our program. And this is kind of what we're in right now until we got put on pause because of this virus. But this is kind of how we work through it. We emphasize academics and class attendance. We give our guys monthly academic reports and progress reports that they have to get their teachers to fill out. And they turn those in at our monthly team meetings at the end of the month. This is something that, our coaching staff and Coach Cal, our offensive coordinator, does a great job of heading up. With this, really, obviously, as coaches, we know their grades, we know their attendance, but we're trying to put accountability and ownership with our team by getting them to go have these conversations with their teachers, try to find ways for them to improve, and then turn those into us. Also in the weight room, great quote here, they don't put championship rings on smooth hands. That's something that we really believe in. We work really hard in the weight room. Everything we do in the weight room is standard based. We try to incorporate competitions in the weight room. We have, goal boards, that sort of thing, our top lifters, pound for pound lifters, that sort of thing as well too. For us, we're pretty lucky that we have a 4th block class where we're able to get our football players in there for all the returning football players, and we lift together as a team every day, and we're able to do our strengths and do our conditioning stuff as well as agility, plyos, that sort of stuff. So we're constantly improving. The thing that really helps us out with that is it allows players to do other sports in the spring. If they're not able to be in the 4th block class, like if they're a younger guy, we do offer weight room hours Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays after school. And like I said, winter and spring sports are strongly encouraged. I'm a firm believer in being a multi-sport athlete. I think it really helps you grow as a competitor. It helps you grow in just different areas, using different parts of your body, using different skill sets. I think all around it makes you a better athlete. I mean, look at some of the best athletes there are in the world. Look at LeBron James. He played football in high school. I mean, Michael Jordan played baseball. There's all sorts of different ways that we can do this. And I think we've done a good job at our school with trying to get our football coaches involved in other sports. Our receivers coaches track as well. So we've got a strong presence out there with a lot of football players. We also have a ton of football players that wrestle in the winter. We have some guys that play basketball, and I think that's a great atmosphere that we've created with our other sports at our school that's really going to help us pay off in the long run. And then ultimately what we do in the off season, I mentioned this earlier, we create a point system, and I can share this later, but really the point system, we keep track of points for our guys on what they do in the classroom, whether they're making good grades or they're on time, that sort of thing, no tardies, as well as their work in the weight room, work in the community, volunteer work. They're able to earn points. And really what happens with the point system is that once they reach a certain amount of points, that they're able to pick what numbers they want to wear for the season. They also get to pick out what type of equipment they want. So if it's a specific helmet style that they want, they get first dibs to go pick those out. As well as some other cool things we've done like photo shoots and stuff with our guys, and it really helps drive that competition within the team and helps them try to achieve excellence. I think it's really important too that within your program you focus on leadership development. It's something that we've done is we try to identify current and potential leaders within the team, and we meet with them periodically throughout the spring. I think it's important that we equip those guys with those tools to be leaders. A lot of guys say they want to be leaders, but they may not know how. I think as a teenager, sometimes they think being a leader means just being the most vocal guy, being the guy that's always yelling, that sort of thing. But there's different ways to lead, and I think it's important that we teach those guys those ways to lead. Also, within those meetings, this is something that's really been cool with it. We may identify guys that we think are leaders or could be leaders, and we'll start meeting with them. There's other guys that will have an interest, say, well, coach, I want to try to be a leader too. Well, the door's open. We try to invite those guys in as well too. Let them grow organically. I think that's really important. And the more leaders you have in your program, the better. And, you always hear in coaching that the best teams are player-led teams. So I think any way that you can grow your leaders, that's really great. Like I said, we meet periodically throughout the spring. Our curriculum, I try to find different videos. I try to keep them short so we keep their attention. Twitter's been a great tool for that. YouTube, we have discussions. We also are starting to do, we were in the process of about to start a book study when we got put on pause. This year's book is The Coffee Bean by Damon West. Again, it's a book study, but it's a really short book, really powerful information that the book and story shares. So I think any ways you can find like this to help your team is only going to make them better. And like I said, we got to equip those guys. We got to give them the tools to be successful leaders, because otherwise we're just throwing them in the dark and just hoping for the best. So that's our job as coaches, to help teach them the methods they need. All right, so for us, team created standards. This is something that we've really pushed because, as teachers, we're evaluated on standards. We're given these standards that we need to achieve in order to be graded, per se, or evaluated.
Coach, question for you.
Yes,
Do
sir.
you have any examples of some of the videos that you show?
Oh yeah. I don't know if I have any of them pulled up or saved, ready to be shown right now, but I can tell you some of them that I've pulled. There was a guy that Urban Meyer shared whenever he coached at Ohio State. One of their receivers, I can't remember his name, but he went on to play for the Redskins, I believe. But anyways, it was a video about him showing what it meant to be a great teammate, and really it was just a highlight of him blocking for his teammates, selling out for his teammates, um, inspiring his teammates, trying to lift them up vocally, those sort of things, just different ways like that. Some other things, kind of like you know, people have heard about the All Blacks, the rugby team, just some of the stuff that they do as far as sweeping the shed and just being player led. Those type of videos I think are great. And again, I try to keep them short, just enough to kind of show them what we're trying to achieve and while keeping their attention. Does that answer your question?
We're good, Coach.
Okay. So like I said, getting into these standards, obviously the best is the standard, but we need to look at and figure out what does our best look like. And so as a coaching staff, we brainstorm this off season, and, we're always constantly trying to evolve and improve our program. And what we've really come up with is trying to get our players involved in this process. That way you create buy-in and ownership from your players. Players feel as though their opinion counts and their voice is heard when you do it this way. And I'll be honest with you, this is a process that we're going through right now. Even, we've been put on pause, but it's something that we're really starting to see the benefits from, even though we're not even through the complete process. It creates a culture of positive peer relationships among the players. And if there are any issues that arise, the players know the expectations, and they know these expectations because what we do with them is they come up with them. At team meetings, we'll have our guys, we'll split them up into groups of like 4 or 5, and we'll basically ask them, what do you think it should look like? What does the best look like in this scenario? And then we compile their information and then share it back with them. And it's something that we're posting throughout all of our facility for them to see and just be reminded of. And I just think that's important because, there are going to be issues that do arise, but it helps the players police each other, and it also helps us remind them of those standards. And I'll kind of get into some of these standards that we are focusing on right now as a program. We're focusing on weight room standards, academic standards, community standards, practice standards, and game standards. So I think that all these standards really encapsulate, cover everything that we do within the football program in a year, just throughout the different phases that we'll be working through. Obviously, some are throughout the year, like the weight room and academic standards and community standards. Practice and game standards are only certain periods of the year. But I think it's important that we give our guys the opportunity to voice what they think it should look like, what it should look like. Yes, we do guide it towards those standards, but it's important for those guys to really have that ownership in what they're going to do and what their best should look like. All right, so next, what I'll show you guys is our weight room standards and how we created those. So basically, this is the exact slide we used, except for the bullet points at the bottom. So if you were to take away the bullet points, this is what we gave the players. So we posed them with this question. It says, in the weight room, we will display commitment to our team and improve our individual strength and conditioning by. And so at that point, we break them off into groups and say, okay, what does your best look like, all right, to display commitment to your team and improve your individual strength and conditioning? And all the things you see listed in the bullet points below are things that our players came up with on their own. And all we did was compile it. This is completely organic from our players. And obviously, it's everything that we would want them to say as coaches. And I think that by us doing this, it's really improved our work in the weight room. And we've really seen the fruits of this. Like you see, being on time, being motivated, encouraging others, being focused, being coachable, and completing all reps for workouts, only taking breaks when designated, and not playing around and socializing. For us in our football program, it's a lot like practice when we're in the weight room, where we have set times for breaks. We put the guys on the clock for lifts and doing their reps, and then we have certain break periods built in. So there's no time of guys wandering off to get water or go to the bathroom, that sort of thing, we're in there to work, and it's pretty structured, and our guys have really bought into that. Working hard when nobody's watching and always giving maximum effort, paying attention, and lifting and spotting is necessary, and then taking care of the equipment, leaving the weight room better than we found it. I think that those are all important things that we do in the weight room. And again, this is all things that our players came up with on their own. And I think as coaches, we can agree that these are really important aspects of the weight room.
Hey, Coach, question for
Yeah.
you. Who runs the clock, and how do you organize your coaches in the weight room?
So we're lucky that we have our own strength and conditioning coach, Coach Warwick, who has actually spent some time coaching throughout the state. He's coached at Jack Britt. He's coached at Lumberton and coached with us at Cary. He's used to be our defense coordinator years ago, but he's taken a step back as he's getting close to retirement, but he still runs our weight room and does a lot with our strength and conditioning. So he runs our clock. He sets up our workouts. He puts the guys on the clock for their groups. And gives them a set time that they have to complete their sets, and they rotate through at their racks. And we're lucky, too, that we have 12 racks, and we're able to get a lot of guys lifting at one time. So if guys aren't lifting, then they're helping load and unload weights for the other guys in their group. And we also have coaches that circulate throughout the weight room while the lifting's going on. Our school, we're really blessed that, A, we have a strength and conditioning coach, and B, they do a good job of taking care of us as coaches and giving us planning during fourth block in the spring and the fall. So we're able to be in the weight room with the guys as well. So we have a strong presence with them, and we're basically in there helping facilitate what Coach Warwick is doing and circulating around through the weight room and encouraging those guys and helping keep them motivated. All right, so like I said, just going to share our weight room standards that we came up with right there, because like I said, this is still a work in progress for us. But those are the aspects we're working on. And, I hate that we've been put on pause, but, we may have to come up with some creative ideas of continuing to build these standards for our guys and helping them make these decisions, whether it's, once we get back in school, or if we have to do it online, like some of these Zoom chats that we're doing now as coaches, we may look into doing that as well too. But, when you talk about culture, sometimes this word has kind of become cliche, and coaching is used a lot. I think most important thing, like I said earlier, we got to keep it simple for our guys. We got to create opportunities for them to thrive. As coaches, I think it's really important that we don't get comfortable. Whether it's you've had a successful season, or your guys are staying out of trouble, or they're doing well in the classroom, or they're working hard in the weight room, you got to have the mindset every day that it's a fist fight, because it really is. You have to come prepared daily to guide that ship, because there's always something coming up. And, as a head coach, you don't really understand this till you get thrown into that fire, that there's just stuff that you can never prepare for is going to happen. So you got to be ready to guide that ship daily and be ready to take on new tasks and continue to push the guys. And I think it's really important, too, that you empower and delegate duties to your assistants. Early on when I first became a head coach, I thought I had to do a lot of stuff on my own. And I soon learned that, you got to delegate duties to those assistants, help them grow, give them the opportunity to do things, because I think a lot of times when you allow others to do things and you empower them, that they create great products. And a lot of times it's something better than maybe you would have come up with. So I think that's really important that you help those assistants out that way. Also, I think it's important for your culture that you grow professionally and seek advice. Like I said, don't get comfortable. There's always something more that you can learn. I think as football coaches and educators, we got to be lifelong learners. We got to continue to look for ways to get better. And for me, these are just some examples that I do, and I encourage others to do. Read. I think it's important to read books. There's tons of material out there, not just X's and O's or leadership. I like to read books about businesses and startups and how organizations are run, that sort of thing too. So you can always try to apply things to your program. Obviously, you try to attend clinics, which is what we're doing right now. Podcasts have been a great tool. There's so many coaches around the country that are sharing great information that way too. And most importantly, network too. Like Coach Grandin said, we've linked up through the recruiting fair that we host. And, obviously we want to try to help those guys go on and play at the next level. But it's been great as us as a coaching network in North Carolina, this part of the state, just getting close to each other and getting to know each other and helping each other out. And, you know, for culture, I think the most important thing that you could do is love your team. You know, it's not like college ball where you get to recruit guys and that sort of thing. You get who you get, and you got to make the most of it with them. And, you know, sometimes it's cyclical. Sometimes you get great talent. Sometimes the talent isn't, you know, at that same level. But if you continue to push those guys, continue to love them, let them know you care about them, you know, find out who they are, know their why, what makes them tick. I think that's going to take you far, and just create that culture of family, especially times like this, you know, where everybody really needs to lean on each other. You know, our players know that, you know, their teammates are there for them. They know their coaches are there for them. If something's in need, somebody's going to be there to help them. So just creating that culture of forget about me, I love you, is just going to really help the culture of your program. And then, you know, for me, like I said, best is the standard, and that's something we're going to continue to push for our program, push our guys to be the best, push our coaches to be the best, try to, you know, make our school be the best it could be, try to make our community be the best it could be. Here's my contact information. You know, you can hit me up on email or Twitter. I'm pretty active on both. So just let me know if you ever have any questions or need anything. I think in this profession, it's really important that we help each other out. We're in this together. Yes, sometimes we are opponents, but we got to help make each other better, push each other to be the best, and then ultimately help these kids, because with football, it helps guys achieve things that they may never achieve it without it. So continue to help each other out. Like I said, if you need anything, let me know. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out. I feel like I kind of blaze through some of that stuff, but you know, if you want to get some more nuts and bolts and the nitty gritty of it, I'll definitely be more than glad to help out.
I appreciate that, Coach. Does any of the coaches in right now have any more questions for Coach Wilkes in regards to culture or what they do, whatever? Coach, I really appreciate that time, man. That was a great talk, and you know, obviously got you on here for a reason, man. Love what you do over there. You know, please feel free, guys. Make sure you stay in contact with Coach, man. He does, like I said, he does a tremendous job. He's always willing to help, man. So feel free. Coach, you do have a question down here.
Okay.
How do you keep your culture? How do you keep your culture during losing streaks?
Well, I think it's important that you focus on creating a good product. I think it's important that your guys understand that, you know, wins and losses are important, and we do want to win. We do push to win. But, you know, ultimately we're going to use football as this vehicle in life and, you know, help us with life lessons, that sort of thing, help us prepare to deal with adversity. And, you know, just to share a little bit about me, and that is something that we share with our team, is just being very personal with different things that we've gone through and how football's helped us overcome it. You know, like my mother died when I was a teenager, and without football, I don't know where I would be. And I think that helped prepare me with tools for later in life to deal with adversity. And I think that football is kind of like that. You have to lean on each other. We have to be a family. Yes, there's wins and losses are important, but ultimately you got to see the big picture of life too, because football's not going to last forever.
Absolutely. Here's another question for you, Coach. Do you display your point system anywhere?
Yes. So we publish it regularly. We send it out digitally to our guys in huddle. And then we also post it like in our bulletin boards, that sort of thing, so guys can see the updates of where they're at. And honestly, they're so competitive. They're always asking for the next update and want to know where they're at in the standings. So I think that's really been beneficial to us to post it.
What are you doing? What are you doing to stay in contact with your players during this time?
Mostly using huddle, just to keep in contact with them, touching base, seeing what's going on. You know, whether it's huddle or text, we message each other either way. We send our guys some workout plans for them to do individually. for strength and conditioning. So a lot of our guys have been updating us on where they're at with that. And, you know, that's kind of where we're at with this. And it's still a day-by-day thing. We're still trying to figure things out and what's the best methods moving forward.
Do you have group points for team competition?
We've done the group thing before, but what we've done now is with the point system, we transitioned it to individual points. The group thing has been good to us, but with our point system that we use now, we didn't want to bombard them with different things as far as ways to earn points.
That's a great question. Anybody else? Go ahead, Coach.
I'll say it is something that we could incorporate again, but for now with our current point system, we're just doing it individually, but we could eventually evolve back into where we do it in group settings. I mean, I do like that idea.
Absolutely. Any more questions for Coach Wilkes? Hey, just like Coach has shared his information, if you guys want to, we always do this, but if you guys want to just drop your Twitter handles in the chat box, so once again, we can follow along with each other. We can stay in contact. That's the best way. That's what we've been doing during this time, man. And I think it's been really beneficial. Once again, we're making the most out of a situation that was unforeseen, but that's exactly what we're doing, is making the most of it. And I think that's important. And, obviously strength is in numbers. So let's continue to lean on each other. So even after this, once we conclude here, I'll leave this chat up for a little bit so guys can kind of follow along with each other. But definitely appreciate your time, Coach. For real, it was a great presentation. I'm glad to get you on here, and thank you for offering such great insight for the coaching community.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the opportunity. And like I said, if you need anything, reach out. And Coach, keep doing the great work, man.
I appreciate you, man.